Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi slams Pakistan, says terrorism no longer a proxy war as Pakistan's well-planned strategy stands exposed. Adds that India's response will be along the same lines. India greenlights fifth-generation stealth fighter jet project, invites private companies to bid for developing a prototype of the warplane. President Murmu confers the remaining Padma Awards for 2025. Former Chief Justice J.S. Kehar awarded the Padma Vibhushan, India's second highest civilian honour. And EU launches a $170 billion fund to enable member countries to take loans for buying weapons. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday slammed Pakistan for starting a proxy war against India via cross-border terrorism. He said that the Indus Waters Treaty between India and Pakistan was badly negotiated.
In a fiery address, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday launched a scathing attack on Pakistan, accusing it of waging an open war against India, asserting that the wheel of deceit under the proxy of terrorism stands torn. At the grand celebration marking 20 years of Gujarat's urban growth story in Gandhinagar, PM Modi declared that Pakistan, having failed to win a direct war, turned to terrorism, training and arming terrorists in a desperate bid to destabilize India.
6 मई के बाद जिनका कत्ल हुआ, उस जनाजे को स्टेट ऑनर दिया गया पाकिस्तान में। उनकी सेना ने उनको सैल्यूट दी। ये सिद्ध करता है कि आतंकवादी गतिविधि ये प्रॉक्सी वॉर नहीं है, ये आपकी सोची समझी युद्ध की रणनीति है। आप वॉर ही कर रहे हैं।
Prime Minister also condemned the recent terror attack in Pahalgam, calling it yet another grim reminder of the decades-long shadow of terrorism. Linking the present to the past, he invoked the vision of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, stressing that the military response during the 1947 partition should have included reclaiming Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
सरदार पटेल की इच्छा थी कि पीओके वापस नहीं आता है तब तक सेना रुकनी नहीं चाहिए, लेकिन सरदार साहब की बात मानी नहीं गई और ये मुजाहिदीन जो लहू चख गए थे, वो सिलसिला 75 साल से चला है। पहलगाम में भी उसी का विकृत रूप था।
Calling Operation Sindoor a turning point, he said the mission now belongs to every citizen, a collective movement to stand tall, take pride in Made in India and celebrate the strides our nation is making.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर सैन्य बल से नहीं, जनबल से जीतना है दोस्तों, और जनबल आता है मातृभूमि की मिट्टी में पैदा हुई हर पैदावार से आता है। इस देश के नागरिक के पसीने की जिसमें सुगंध हो, उन चीजों का मैं इस्तेमाल करूंगा। अगर मैं ऑपरेशन सिंदूर को जन जन तक, घर घर तक लेके जाता हूं, आप देखिए हिंदुस्तान को 2047 के पहले विकसित राष्ट्र बना के रहेंगे।
Earlier, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated development projects worth more than 5,500 crore, spanning urban infrastructure, health and water supply. He also unveiled the official logo of Gujarat Urban Development Year 2025, signaling the next chapter in the state's progress story. Capping off his two-day Gujarat visit, PM Modi led a grand roadshow, a celebration of India's spirit, soaked in patriotic fervour following the resounding success of Operation Sindoor. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's multi-party delegations have intensified their global diplomatic mission to highlight India's unwavering stance against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. Led by parliamentarians, these delegations are meeting world leaders to gain international support for India's fight against terrorism, emphasizing Operation Sindoor as a landmark in this battle. In the next report, Rabindra Chauhan brings you up to speed on the ongoing visits.
Led by key members of parliament, India's multi-party delegations are meeting world leaders to gain international support for India's fight against terrorism, emphasizing Operation Sindoor as a landmark in this battle. In Singapore, JDU MP Sanjay Kumar Jha met Senior Minister Sim Ann, where India's strict stance on terrorism was conveyed alongside a refusal to bow to nuclear blackmail. Singapore strongly condemned the Pahalgam terror attack and pledged support against terrorism. In Slovenia, the delegation led by Kanimori Karunanidhi discussed India's zero-tolerance policy towards terrorism and Operation Sindoor. Slovenia strongly condemned the Pahalgam terror attack. In Paris, MP Ravi Shankar Prasad briefed the French media and think tanks on India's action against terrorism, particularly following the Pahalgam attack, and shared details about Operation Sindoor, which targeted terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The all-party delegation led by NCP MP Supriya Sule has been on a four-nation tour to garner global support for India's fight against terror. She wrapped up her Qatar visit on Tuesday after briefing leaders about the terror attack on the 22nd of April in Jammu and Kashmir and India's response through Operation Sindoor. In Kuwait, another delegation led by Baijant Jay Panda engaged with the Indian diaspora and visited an exhibition on India-Kuwait ties.
This visit has been outstanding. Our message that we have zero tolerance for terrorism, we don't want war, we don't want hostilities with Pakistan, but we will not sit quiet if they attack us, is very well received. That is because Kuwait also has been a victim of terrorism.
Meanwhile, key delegation member Asaduddin Owaisi called for Pakistan's return to the FATF grey list, stressing the need for tighter financial scrutiny to curb terrorism.
Pakistan must be brought back in FATF grey list. Now, what is the importance of FATF grey list? That there will be huge scrutiny on that nation when you do money transactions. And it is a fact that Pakistan uses Middle East, hawala or money laundering, to sponsor terrorist groups against India. So bringing Pakistan in FATF is very important because our apprehension is that this 2 billion loan which IMF is giving, that will be used by Pakistani military.
India's diplomatic blitz to highlight state-sponsored terrorism by Pakistan and its strong resolve to fight terror has gained attention across the globe, with several countries pledging support. The mission will continue for a few more days, highlighting Operation Sindoor as a key milestone in the fight against terror. Rabindra Chauhan's report, DD India.
An all-party delegation from India has left France for Italy as part of a European tour. The lawmakers held a series of meetings in Paris to share New Delhi's clear and firm stand against Pakistan-supported terrorism.
Day 2 of the Indian all-party delegation's visit to France concluded with the several important engagements that further strengthen the relationship between India and France. The day began with a breakfast interaction with the members of French media, where the delegates shared all the proof of Pakistan's initiation of the terrorism and India's view on global issue, and they spoke about growing partnership between India and France. This meeting helped build better understanding and media connections.
Today we met the media, our distinguished colleague of the French Parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate, the India Caucus. And our narrative is very clear. On the issue of terrorism, the whole world needs to speak in one voice. So many designated terrorists are there in Pakistan, which UN has declared, their groups have declared. And India did a precision strike as a last resort. And we also conveyed in very unmistakable terms, Sindoor is only paused. Pakistan will have to give a good account of itself, whereby they must stop terrorism, cross-border terrorism.
Later in the day, delegation visited the French Senate and met with the senators, including the members of the India-France Friendship Group. They discussed ways to enhance cooperation in multiple areas. The meeting highlighted the strong and friendly ties between two parliaments and the open doors for future collaboration. With these successful meetings completed, the delegation departed for Rome in the evening, continuing their European tour and efforts to strengthen India's international partnerships. This is Rohini Gosavi in Paris for DD India.
Another all-party delegation will reach Indonesia on Wednesday to project New Delhi's national consensus and resolute approach to combating terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. The cohort will be in Indonesia until Saturday. Chandni Vasandani reports from Jakarta.
We are here ahead of the visit of the all-party delegation that will arrive in Jakarta on Wednesday morning. This 4-day visit is a vital component of India's multinational mission to strengthen the global narrative against cross-border terrorism. This delegation is led by Mr. Sanjay Kumar Jha, and they will come here to brief Indonesian counterparts on India's response to the Pahalgam terror attack back on April 22nd. The delegation will meet with several members of the Indonesian parliament, and we can expect that the discussions will underline the threat of terrorism and the importance of international cooperation against terrorism. They're also expected to visit the ASEAN Secretariat to meet with the ASEAN Secretary General. During this visit, they will also be meeting with several representatives of Indonesian political parties and influential think tanks. This is a good opportunity for the Indian delegation to, voice their concerns about terrorism, which is a clear and present threat that exists until today, and rally support for Operation Sindoor as a response to terrorism. Beyond these high-level discussions and dialogues, they will also meet with the Nahdlatul Ulama, which is the world's largest Islamic organization that is based in Indonesia. They also have, in their agenda, they also have scheduled to have several community and cultural engagements where they will interact and meet with media houses and members of the Indian diaspora based in Indonesia. This visit to Jakarta represents a very serious diplomatic effort to forge stronger partnerships and amplify the call for decisive action against those who commit and support acts of terror. After this Jakarta leg, the delegation will travel to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I am Chandni Vasandani reporting from Jakarta.
Meanwhile, India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is on a visit to the US. He'll meet with senior US government officials. The visit builds on the momentum of Prime Minister Modi's trip to the US in February this year, during which the two countries launched the India-US Compact, short for Catalyzing Opportunities for Military Partnership, Accelerated Commerce and Technology for the 21st Century. In other news, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Tuesday approved the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft Program Execution Model. It is being seen as a significant push to enhance India's indigenous defence capabilities and foster a robust domestic aerospace industrial ecosystem. The fifth-generation stealth fighter jet project is another testament to India's commitment to fortifying its defence framework. Rahul Upadhyay reports.
Another testament to India's commitment to fortifying its defence framework was evident this week with a green signal given to its latest initiatives, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft or AMCA program, spearheaded by the Ministry of Defence. It's India's ambitious project to roll out its own fifth-generation stealth combat aircraft. In a significant push towards enhancing India's indigenous defence capabilities and fostering a robust domestic aerospace industrial ecosystem, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh approved the execution of the AMCA project. The initiative aims to enhance indigenous defence production and strengthen India's aerospace industry through public-private partnerships. The nation's first fifth-generation multi-role stealth fighter jet, designed for 1.8 Mach speed and enhanced payload capacity, the AMCA reinforces India's commitment to self-reliance in aerospace technology. With the Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO targeting final trials by 2034, the AMCA's induction into the Indian Air Force is expected by 2035. The Aeronautical Development Agency, ADA, a part of DRDO, is set to execute the program through industry partnership. The execution of the project provides equal opportunities to both public and private sectors on competitive basis. They can bid either independently or as a joint venture or as consortia. The entity bidder should be an Indian company compliant with the laws and regulations of the country. This is an important step towards harnessing the indigenous expertise, capability and capacity to develop the AMCA prototype, which will be a major milestone towards Atmanirbharta, or self-reliance, in the aerospace sector. With this, India remains focused on modernizing military capabilities and strategically countering emerging threats. This ultimate push underscores the nation's resolve to safeguard its sovereignty and regional stability through a well-calibrated, forward-thinking approach. Rahul Upadhyay's report, DD India.
Still to come on DD India NewsHour. Trump to cancel contracts worth $100 million with Harvard University. UK police rules out terrorism in Liverpool car ramming that injured 27 football fans. And Bangladesh top court acquits Islamist leader on death row.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The European Union on Tuesday approved the creation of a $170.7 billion EU arms fund driven by fears of a Russian attack in the coming years and doubts about US security commitments to the continent. The approval by ministers from EU countries meeting in Brussels was the final legal step in setting up the Security Action for Europe, or SAFE scheme, using joint EU borrowing to give loans to European countries for joint defence projects. The measure was backed by 26 of the EU's 27 member countries, with Hungary abstaining. Russia and Ukraine launched a wave of drone attacks against each other overnight, even as Moscow claimed that it was finalizing a peace proposal to end the war. Amid new territorial gains, Moscow accused Kiev and its European allies of deliberately undermining efforts to revive peace talks. Amid all this, Russia on Tuesday began major naval drills in the Baltic Sea involving 20 warships, 3,000 troops and air support.
Russia on Tuesday reiterated that its massive aerial assaults on Ukraine in recent days were a response to escalating Ukrainian drone strikes on its own civilians, accusing Kiev of trying to disrupt peace efforts. Moscow, which has repeatedly rejected proposals from Kiev and its Western allies for a 30-day unconditional ceasefire, fired hundreds of drones at Ukraine between late Friday and early Monday, killing more than a dozen people and saturating the country's air defenses. Kremlin said media reports suggesting that the United States may impose new sanctions against Russia were part of a campaign aimed at disrupting peace talks over Ukraine. The Kremlin also said Moscow and Washington are continuing to work on another prisoner swap between their two countries. On Tuesday, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met his Turkish counterpart Hakim Fidan, who is in Moscow on a two-day work visit. Both the leaders stressed the importance of the recent direct talks between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul, the first such contact since spring 2022. Lavrov accused Europe of sabotaging Trump's peace efforts.
And when Trump sees that a small group of the European representatives start to sabotage his efforts, pushing Ukraine towards absolutely reckless actions like drone attacks on Moscow and other Russian cities, and attacks on the helicopter of Russian president, of course, he may reveal certain emotions.
Amid all this, the European Union on Tuesday approved the creation of a €150 billion EU arms fund, driven by fears of a Russian attack in the coming years and doubts about US security commitments to the continent. Also on Tuesday, Russia began major naval drills in the Baltic Sea involving 20 warships, 3,000 troops and air support. Diplomatic efforts to end the fighting have gained momentum in the recent weeks, with Russia and Ukraine officials holding direct talks for the first time in 3 years earlier this month. But Putin has been accused of stalling peace talks, and the Kremlin has shown no signs of scaling back its maximalist demands, allegations which Kremlin has strongly denied. Bureau Report, DD India.
The US government is set to cancel all remaining contracts with Harvard University worth about $100 million. The action came days after the Trump government banned Harvard from enrolling international students. But a judge in Boston temporarily blocked the Trump government's decision. The U.S. General Services Administration claimed that Harvard continues to engage in race discrimination in its admission process. A car crashed into a crowd of fans of the Liverpool Football Club who were celebrating the team's Premier League win, injuring at least 27 people, 2 of them seriously. 4 of the injured were children. The incident took place on Water Street shortly after the team's victory bus passed through the area. A 53-year-old white British man from the Liverpool area, believed to be the driver of the vehicle, was arrested. The police did not believe that the incident was an act of terror. And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that the UK stands with Liverpool after a car ploughed into a crowd of soccer fans during a Premier League title parade. Police believe that the incident in a packed city centre on Monday was isolated and not an act of terrorism.
Well, scenes of joy turned to utter horror and devastation, and my thoughts and the thoughts of the whole country are with all of those that are affected, those injured, which of course includes children, their families, their friends, the whole community, Liverpool fans everywhere. And Liverpool stands together, and the whole country stands with Liverpool. I'd like to thank the first responders who did a fantastic job last night and continue to do so. There's now an ongoing investigation. I'm being kept updated, talking frequently to the Mayor, Steve Rotherham. But as I say, my thoughts and the thoughts of the whole country will be with everybody in Liverpool today.
King Charles and Queen Camilla are in Canada at the invitation of Prime Minister Mark Carney. On Tuesday, King Charles officially opened Canada's Parliament in a ceremony rich with tradition and pageantry. Addressing the lawmakers, the King emphasized the importance of collaboration and constructive debate, saying that such efforts ensure bold and fair governance in support of Canadians. This visit marks King Charles's first trip to Canada since his coronation 2 years ago. The royal couple's 2-day stay underscores the strong historical ties between Canada and the Crown. A US-backed private humanitarian group distributing aid in Gaza is being criticized by the UN for distracting from what is truly needed, such as the reopening of crossing points. The UN Humanitarian Office said on Tuesday that the initiative does not align with the essential needs in Gaza, specifically calling for the reopening of all crossings and more Israeli approvals for emergency supplies. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation began its aid distribution on Monday.
Be a bit of a repetition. As we have explained many times, we do not participate in this modality for the reasons that we have given. It is a distraction from what is actually needed, which is a reopening of all the crossings into Gaza, a secure environment within Gaza, and faster facilitation of permissions and final approvals of all the emergency supplies that we have just outside the border and needs to get in.
Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Forces said on Tuesday that 2 of the 4 new aid distribution sites in the Gaza Strip have started operations, delivering food packages to thousands of Palestinian families. These sites, located in Tel Sultan and Netzarim corridor, are being managed by a private U.S. security company, with the IDF providing area security. Trucks carrying humanitarian aid were seen waiting at the Kerem Shalom border crossing in Israel. The trickle of aid into Gaza follows international pressure on Israel to ease the blockade imposed since early March. However, Israel has accused Hamas of diverting aid, a claim the group denies. Bangladesh's top court on Tuesday acquitted Jamaat-e-Islami leader ATM Azharul Islam in a case of crimes against humanity during the country's liberation war of 1971. The court ordered his immediate release if there is no case pending against him. According to the charge sheet, Islam was responsible for the killing of 1,256 people, the abduction of 17 persons, and raping 13 women in Rangpur region. The International Crimes Tribunal sentenced him to death on 30th December 2014 on 5 out of 9 charges. President Draupadi Murmu presented the Padma Awards 2025 at Civil Investiture Ceremony 2nd, where 69 individuals were honored with Padma Awards for their remarkable contribution and work in different fields. This includes 3 Padma Vibhushans, 9 Padma Bhushans, and 57 Padma Shri Awards. Among them, former Chief Justice Jagjeet Singh Kheher and Kumudni Laka posthumous and Dr. Shada Sinha posthumous were awarded the Padma Vibhushan for contribution in the field of public affairs and arts. Those presented Padma Bhushan included Kailash Nath Dikshit for his contribution in his field of archaeology, Sadhi Ritambara in the field of social work. Apart from the President, Prime Minister Modi and many eminent politicians, dignitaries were present at the event as attendees. All right, now take a look at what else is making news around the world. Russia has started major military exercises in the Baltic Sea involving more than 20 warships, around 25 aircraft and helicopters, and approximately 3,000 service members. During the drills, naval crews will carry out anti-submarine warfare tasks, train to counter unmanned surface vessels, and conduct live fire exercises targeting both sea and air threats. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth met with Poland's Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister at the Pentagon. Hegseth thanked the Polish leader for their close partnership, whereas the Polish leader said that he is confident and continues to strengthen economic and military ties with the U.S. Pope Leo XIV met with the Napoli football team after the club bounced back to win the Italian championship for the 4th time. The Pope said that it's the team, not the individual players, which wins a championship. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. A discussion on Prime Minister Modi's message to Pakistani citizens and India's global outreach to expose Pakistan for supporting terrorism. A parliamentary delegation from Sri Lanka called on External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. And India records a 14% increase in FDI inflow in FY 24-25.
geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi slams Pakistan, says terrorism no longer a proxy war as Pakistan's well-planned strategy stands exposed. Adds that India's response will be along the same lines. India greenlights fifth-generation stealth fighter jet project, invites private companies to bid for developing a prototype of the warplane. President Murmu confers the remaining Padma Awards for 2025. Former Chief Justice J.S. Kehar awarded the Padma Vibhushan, India's second highest civilian honour. And the EU launches a $170 billion fund to enable member countries to take loans for buying weapons. Right, going back to the top story, Prime Minister Modi's messaging to Pakistan in the wake of Operation Sindoor. And joining us is Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar. He's a former Indian envoy to Kazakhstan, Sweden and Latvia. Ambassador, welcome to DD India NewsHour. Now, slamming Pakistan, the Prime Minister has said that it is no longer a proxy war and that terrorism is actually Pakistan's well-planned strategy. He also said that India will accordingly retaliate. Now, so has India virtually put Pakistan on notice? Another act of terror, and India will treat it as an act of war.
Thank you very much, Ramesh, for having me on the show.
Welcome.
That's very right. You know, this is the new doctrine that Prime Minister Modi had enunciated earlier, that we are now not going to differentiate between the terrorists and those who support the terrorists in Pakistan, which is the Pakistan Army and the spy agency, the ISI. And I think that is going to be increasingly put into operation if there is a next terror attack. Then it is going to be, the punishment is going to be much more severe, and it is not going to differentiate between the terrorists only, but it will be, there will be no distinction between those who are supporting, funding, financing, training the terrorists and those who are carrying out these acts themselves.
Also, Ambassador, Prime Minister Modi delivered a direct message to Pakistani citizens. He urged Pakistani youths in particular to speak out against terrorism sponsored by their country's own army. Do you think the message would hit home?
I think this would have a lot of resonance, Ramesh. You might recall that, I don't exactly remember the year, but some years ago, I think 7-8 years ago, speaking from Kerala, he had even at that time exhorted the Pakistani people to see what the reality of the situation is. But I think today there is, in my view, there's going to be much greater resonance, because just look around in Pakistan as to what is happening. You know, whether it is in Balochistan, the sort of violence, the sort of death, destruction, ordinary people, they are how they are being treated. You look at Sindh, the protests that are taking place there. You look at Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, you look at POK. So across the whole country, there is a problem. There's a problem of politics. Their most popular leader is behind bars. Their economy is in shambles. This is, 25th, 26th IMF loan. The inflation is at 38%. There is, they do not have calm borders, quiet borders, either with Afghanistan or with Iran. There is Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and the list is endless. So I think the sort of situation, the conditions that the Pakistani people are living right now, are going through, are very dire conditions. So I think this message, this appeal could hit home that what has all this power to the army really got them in terms of, their either safety, security, or better living standards. So I think they really need to introspect and to take whatever actions they need to take in terms of sending out a very clear message, both to the government, to the civilian government, as well as to the army, that they will not tolerate this any further.
Indeed. Let me now draw your attention to another aspect of this entire debate and discussion. How do you view India's ongoing diplomatic offensive to expose Pakistan on the world stage?
I think it's a very good initiative, Ramesh, in my view. Number one, because, we have sent out multi-party delegations to all these 33 countries, 7 delegations. So I think, one, it sends out a very clear message that the whole country is united as far as dealing with terrorism is concerned, dealing with cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan. Because we have seen across the board in most democracies, there is great polarization. But as far as India is concerned, the whole country is united. The second is that India is, it sends out a message. Some people say that couldn't this task also have been performed by our embassies? What are our embassies doing? I think by sending out these delegations, India is sending out this message that India is very serious about the whole issue of terrorism, and that what happened on 22nd of April in Pahalgam, it was not an issue of Kashmir. Kashmir was not the problem. It was a terrorist attack. And India will continue to fight the scourge of terrorism, the terrorist forces. And it is a fight that it is engaging in not only for itself, but it is for the world. Because the fight of terrorism is also of the world, and it is good if the whole world comes together with India to fight this scourge. Because Pakistan has been known to support terrorism, all terrorist acts wherever they have taken place, London, Bali, Madrid, New York, and of course in India, they have all been connected with Pakistan. So the world, number one, needs to support India in its fight against terrorism. Also, the world needs to put pressure on Pakistan. I think the message is also going out that it would be necessary to put Pakistan again in the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force, so that funds that are coming in, whether it's through investment or IMF loans, that there is a much closer scrutiny and much closer check on how they are being utilized, and they are not going in for terrorist purposes or for other money laundering activities.
And finally, Ambassador, going back to Prime Minister Modi's speech in Gujarat, what did you make of his call for reducing reliance on foreign goods? He's urging Indians to take pride in made in India products.
No, absolutely. I think this has really, if I can use that word, Ramesh, stunned not only the world but also Indian people that are indigenously manufactured goods, whether it is air defense systems or whether it is the offensive weaponry that we have been working on for the last 8-10 years. that it has delivered such phenomenal results, phenomenal success rate has been enormous, has been amazing. And I think that has brought home that fine, we have been all these years dependent. There were very many doubters. There were very many naysayers when we launched this Atmanirbharta initiative. But you look at, I think, the applause that our products are getting and the new orders that they are getting from across the world. It means that, we can really do it. And also as far as other, not only defense equipment, but, one district, one product, those initiatives that have been taken. I think there is so much of talent, and by the government coming and hand-holding in terms of quality control, in terms of delivery schedules, in terms of packaging, I think we can definitely make a mark both in terms of increasing our export revenues as also in terms of limiting our imports of consumer goods and consumer products. I think it is absolutely necessary across the board. And we have known that as far as technology is concerned, India has, very good talent in that area. So across the board, whether it is in manufacturing, services, or defense equipment also, as I said, there are huge prospects and there is great potential for taking the country forward.
Ambassador Sarjan, our pleasure as always to talk to you. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Right, moving on in some other news, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar interacted with a parliamentary delegation from Sri Lanka on Tuesday. The minister appreciated their condemnation of terrorism and expressions of sympathy for the Pahalgam attack. They discussed about India's neighbourhood first policy, underpinned by strong people-to-people ties. The minister reiterated India's commitment to Sri Lanka's progress and development. India has put in place an investor-friendly foreign direct investment policy under which most sectors are open for 100% FDI through the automatic route. This policy is reviewed on an ongoing basis to ensure that India remains an attractive and competitive investment destination. As a result, FDI inflows have seen a steady rise from $36.05 billion in FY 2013-14 to $81.04 billion in FY 24-25, marking a 14% increase from $71.28 billion in FY 23-24. The services sector emerged as the top recipient of FDI equity in FY 24-25, attracting 19% of total inflows, followed by computer software, hardware and trading. FDI into the services sector rose by 40.77% to $9.35 billion from $6.64 billion in the previous year. The state of Maharashtra accounted for the highest share, 39% of total FDI equity inflows in FY 24-25, followed by Karnataka at 13% and Delhi at 12%. Among source countries, Singapore led with a 30% share, followed by Mauritius at 17% and the US at 11%. In a major drive towards self-reliance, India has initiated the process to develop electric Hansa or E-Hansa, a next-generation two-seater electric trainer aircraft. The project was announced by Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh during a high-level monthly review meeting. E-Hansa aircraft will mark a key step towards India's green aviation goals and use of clean energy fuel in running the aircraft. The Central Board of Direct Taxes, or the CBDT, has extended the last date for filing of income tax returns from 31st July to 15 September 2025. The CBDT said that this will ensure a smoother and more accurate filing experience for everyone. In Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag, torrential rain accompanied by strong winds and hailstorms lashed several parts of the region on Tuesday, causing waterlogging and minor disruptions across the region. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. An exclusive interview with Estonia's Prime Minister Kristen Michal. Indian athletes win 2 medals on opening day of the Asian Athletics Championships. And India's PV Sindhu enters the pre-quarterfinals of the Singapore Badminton Open. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Estonia, a nation of only 1.3 million people, has been seeking to strengthen its relationship with India. Cybersecurity stands out as arguably the strongest area for collaboration, given Estonia's globally recognized IT sector. Estonia's Prime Minister Kristen Michal spoke exclusively to Jessica Thaneja in Tallinn.
As the Prime Minister of Estonia, thank you for speaking to DD India and taking out time for us. We've seen that there's been a momentum in India-Estonia ties in the recent past. The trade has been modest between the two, but there is potential to increase trade ties. What are the expectations in the future, and what are you building up to, in a sense, to increase trade with India?
I would say that we have a good potential. As you mentioned, that to increase trade, because, for example, Estonia is quite strong in IT and cybersecurity field. That comes from the life itself, because, to be honest, Estonia was the first country in the whole world to become under constant cyber attacks from our neighbors. So we evolved our cybersecurity very rapidly, and right now it's still evolving. We are working with IT companies on cybersecurity field. So this is with a great potential to have cooperation done with India, and also private companies. They are signing different contracts, and the trade is growing. Also to mention wood industry, which is with a great capabilities, and food industry. So we have many fields in which to work together, and I would say that I would encourage everybody in India. So if they have a nice vacation, to come to Estonia. It's not probably the warmest, but it has very clean air, as already mentioned, and very nice nature.
With increasing cyber threats, how is Estonia going to come in and partner with India in the future?
I would say that the first level could be on the private sector level, in which companies are working together, and also on the state level, because, as you know, Estonia has, I would say, 100% of our public services, which we are offering. Also divorce, for example, and marriage are doable online. So we have very good examples how, let's say, cyber field and also online services field works. It's usually cheaper. It saves businesses and people time. It has a better traceability, less corruption, and so on. So for a very big country as India is, this kind of opportunities to use e-governance, for example, Estonia is doing well. We have government sessions already 25 years, not on paper, but online. So this kind of systems could be very helpful. For example, e-prescription, e-schooling, whatever the systems. So we are more than willing to share our experiences on the state level and also private level, because our companies everybody is involved in this kind of work. So that could be very helpful, also coming from small to big.
Prime Minister, thank you for speaking to the public broadcaster of India. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now to all the news from the world of sport. Indian athletes won 2 medals on the opening day of the Asian Athletics Championships in Gumi city of South Korea on Tuesday. Gulveer Singh clinched a gold medal in the men's 10,000 meters, while Servin Sebastian bagged a bronze in the 20-kilometer race walk event. Gulveer beat Japan's Meibuki Suzuki and Bahrain's Albert Kibichi Rop for the top spot. Gulveer will also be in action in the men's 5,000-meter race later on in the competition. Sebastian won India's first medal of the meet with a bronze in the men's 20-kilometer race walk event. Sebastian finished behind Wang Zhao of China and Kento Yoshikawa of Japan. Former world champion PV Sindhu ended her first round losing streak to storm into the pre-quarterfinals of the Singapore Badminton Open on Tuesday. Sindhu beat Canada's Wen Yu Zhang 21-14, 21-9 in 31 minutes in her round of 32 match. Sindhu, who won Singapore Badminton Open in 2022, came into this edition having suffered 4 successive opening round exits this year. Meanwhile, it was the end of the road for Malvika Bansod and Anmol Kharb. In the men's singles, HS Pranoy mounted a comeback against Rasmus Kemke of Denmark to win the contest 19-21, 21-16, 21-14, while Priyanshu Rajawat made a promising start against Kodai Naraoka of Japan, but eventually went down. Alexander Zverev made an impressive start to his latest bid for a first Grand Slam title with a straight sets win over US teenager Lerner Tien on Tuesday. The German third seed saw off Tien 6-3, 6-3, 6-4. The 28-year-old, who has lost all 3 of his Grand Slam finals, has made it to the semi-finals in each of the last 4 editions of the French Open. A former world number 1, Daniil Medvedev of Russia, stumbled out of the French Open with a 7-5, 6-3, 4-6, 1-6, 7-5 first-round defeat by Britain's Cameron Norrie. Medvedev's composure disintegrated as he surrendered 8 consecutive games after opening a 3-1 lead in the first set. Novak Djokovic got off to a solid start as he beat Mackenzie McDonald of the US 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 in the first round. Fresh from claiming his 100th title at Geneva last week, Djokovic bids for his record-breaking 25th Grand Slam title. In women's singles, Coco Gauff of the US dispatched Australia's Olivia Gadecki in straight sets to get her French Open campaign off to a confident start. Second seed Gauff won 6-2, 6-2 in 1 hour and 11 minutes against Gadecki. Title contender Mira Andreeva eased into the second round with a 6-4, 6-3 win over Spain's Cristina Bucha to continue her fine form this season. The 6th seed, who won back-to-back titles in Dubai and Indian Wells this season, reined in her opponent after initial trouble. England women's goalkeeper Mary Earps announced her retirement from international soccer with immediate effect on Tuesday. The decision shocked the soccer world as it came barely a month before the start of the European Championship. Earps called time on an 8-year career that included numerous accolades, such as 2 FIFA Best Awards and a World Cup Golden Glove. Earps was a key player in both England's European Championship victory in 2022 and their runners-up finish in the Women's World Cup in 2023. In cricket, Namibia is set to play against South Africa for the first time in the T20 format, which will mark the official opening of the Namibia cricket ground. In the historic fixture, both teams will compete in the one-off T20 International on 11th October at Namibia's capital, Windhoek. The new stadium will host matches in the 2026 Under-19 Cricket World Cup and the 2027 Men's Cricket World Cup. It will be the very first time that Namibia will host World Cup games. And that's all for this edition of DD India NewsHour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code that's now on your screen to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India NewsHour.